Hello, hello, hello. It is Chris, your favorite coach, your favorite host, whatever else you need in your life, and you don't have one, I can be your favorite. And we're back to another episode of Conversations with Chris, where I ambush people that I admire and appreciate, that have a story to tell with questions. And I broadcast it out there for all of you to see and hear. And hopefully my intention is for it to be inspirational, motivational, eye-opening. And I do encourage everybody to ask questions as they watch along. So today I am excited. We have the one and only Channin Medina. Yay! Now,
good morning, Chris.
Good morning to you, and morning it is. And after many attempts to get you on here, you finally gave in and said, all right. And I know the big concern is, I haven't been in the business that long. I don't have that much to share. So, just a little background on you. You're in the business now 2 years. You had a great first year, and you hit a ceiling, and you said, man, there's more to this. Let me revolutionize my business the second year. And you did indeed. So tell us a little bit about that story, about you getting into the business and what you accomplished.
Yes. So my first year in the business, I felt like like most new agents, kind of running through the dark and trying to figure out everything on your own, not really sure where to turn, but trying to stay active. And after working with many buyers, internet leads that took a little long to turn around, I realized how I could start trying to prospect on my own, find my own leads with sellers. And even though I can do about the same amount of transactions, I now had a little bit more control about my price point, who I was going to work with, and how much time I would be spending on each one.
So you get into the business, and buyers are like the low-hanging fruit. Everybody wanted a house. Everybody could buy a house, and a lot of people did well. So like your first year, how many transactions did you close? And it was all buyers, right? Or mostly buyers?
Yes. Well, I did 11 buyers and 2 rentals my first year.
11 buyers and 2 rentals. That's nothing to sneeze at. So that's a great year. What was your thought process around that? A year later, you were like, did you feel like was it real easy? Did you work real hard?
I worked very hard, and I spent a lot of time doing countless showings, putting in tons of offers in that crazy market where it was really tough for buyers. So I wanted to learn how I can get on the other end of things where, the sellers were flying off the shelf and buyers were taking quite a while and a lot of work, but of course, very rewarding. But I just wanted to combine some sellers into them.
Yeah. So so you wanted to kind of make a shift into a listing-based business?
Correct.
All right. I think we all kind of realize that. I had a very similar first year, man. You've got a list to last. So, what worked for you with the buyers? What was your learning process that made you say, okay, I could translate this. I got to learn how to take listings. What do you already know and bring to the table? And then what was the gap? What are the things you needed to know?
I knew a lot about everything that a buyer's looking for. I know what's important to them, which of course you're going to be using when you're a listing agent. Your goal is to figure out who that buyer is. Or who the buyer is you're looking for. And working with buyers for so long, I know exactly what they're looking for. I got to work with a bunch of different kind of people. I did different types of sales. I did condos, multifamily, single family. So that first year was really a lot of training and learning just through going through the experiences.
Yeah, and you learn. I always tell people you learn how to play this game on game day, right? You could sit in a classroom all day. Did you find that they prepared you for the real estate business in real estate school?
No, I always say real estate school is everything you're not supposed to do as a realtor.
Yeah, don't do these things and you'll stay out of jail, right? So
Right.
You don't do these things, you'll stay out of jail. Great, thanks. How do I sell real estate, right? So
Exactly.
you hit the ceiling after your first year. Maybe you wanted to transition to a listing-based business. What did that process look like? Was it really easy to do?
No, not at all. Yeah, I would say with a little bit of what I had from my first year, I had some things to talk about and I had, I guess I'd say, a foundation, but it was still scary calling. I was started calling expireds. I ended up really liking for sale by owners. And a lot of them are still scary sometimes when you call them, but that's okay. I just call them the next day and say, "Hey, are you having a better day today? I called you yesterday." You know.
Yeah, I like that. You don't hear a lot of people that say they like for sale by owners. So it's so you
I do.
why for sale by owners? What was it? What was it where you said I have to take listings now? I got to get listings. What are the different options that exist for me to take listings? For sale by owners is not something that a lot of people choose. So what was it about that?
Well, firstly, most of them do really want to sell their house and they want to sell it quickly. Um, Through working with you, you helped me to realize, even though they're telling you, I don't want a realtor, stop calling me, they probably do need a realtor. They just need the right one. Whether it's time or money, I can probably do that for them. I just need to be able to break the barriers of, I know realtors to be able to explain that to them.
Yeah, yeah. It's so. I mean, was it? Well, I mean, how long have you been? How long have you been working with for sale by owners now?
Since about this time last year, October of last year was when I first started making my calls.
So this is your year anniversary, and what do you just out of curiosity? What do you? How many transactions are you on target to close this year?
16.
Okay,
That's how
and
many I've closed so far. I still hope to have another 2 or 3 by the end of the year.
okay, and was it? Would you say it was easier? I mean, so you did 11, right? Your first year, you did 16 this year. Would you say that it was an easier year than your first year?
Definitely. For one, all of that business that you made in the first year and you nurtured and you continue to follow up with, and your old clients and all of that is starting to trickle in and add up. So you're
Mhm.
not completely dry. You have something that, people that are going to come to you when they have that need. People know who you are now.
I love it. When you look at you're really, you're really passionate about setting yourself apart and being different than everyone else, and that's good. That's so important. I think people don't. A lot of real estate agents don't work on that until later in their business. So catching it so early, I appreciate that. So we got from Aaron has a tough. I've got a tough one. What has been the biggest lesson you have learned in real estate, and how did you learn it?
When you're first starting making calls and prospecting and trying to get out there, your mindset is really, really important, that you stay positive, you stay strong, and you celebrate every little success. Especially when you're first starting, celebrate that you had a 5-minute conversation. Celebrate that you have permission to follow up. Celebrate the appointment, even if you don't get the listing. You have to celebrate every little win so that you'll keep yourself motivated to keep on going until you get to the end.
Yeah, that's so important. And thanks. That's a great question. So mindset's really important. Stay positive and celebrate every little success. And what do you do to? I mean, it's such a challenging environment out there and climate. What do you do to stay positive? And like, what are some little rituals or habits or things that you just have in place to make sure that you keep on keeping on?
Morning routines, getting up, being in a good mood, ready for the day. Um, just honestly, for me, it's really motivating every time I have one good conversation. Every time you have one of those little wins you can celebrate, you're looking for the next win and they keep getting greater.
Mhm. That's awesome. Again, guys, if you guys are just popping on, we're live with Channin. This isn't a recorded Channin. This isn't a recorded Chris. We're really doing this right now. If it's not Thursday at 10:09 Eastern time, then you're watching it on the replay. So either way, if you're watching it live, you have a question, just post it right in the comments. We'll be able to get them up there and answer for you. And if you're watching it on the replay, that's cool too. If you have a question, you want to reach out to any of us, Shannon's very easy to get in touch with, and as am I. So I love that. I love all the stuff that you're sharing. So what's a typical day look like now for you? Or even if we have to elongate that, a typical day, typical week, what is Shannon's calendar looking like? I mean, with a young family, by the way, and a new homeowner yourself, congratulations. She just bought her house this year. She became one of her own clients. Isn't that wonderful? So tell us what a day looks like for you.
Get up in the morning with the kids, get them ready, make sure they're set and they're having a positive day. They're looking forward to their school day, have lunch, everything together. Get home and start looking over my day. It's normally, which I know you've advised me against this, is normally more of a to-do list, which I could structure more into a timetable. But for me, as somebody that worked like 24/7 in the last year, something that I worked on was just doing my most important things first thing in the day when my mind is fresh and ready, when I'm not having to think about everything I had to do all day and then getting it to the end of the night. That's been a lot better.
Yeah.
It was really important to me to not spend so many nights working hard and have time with the kids, like you said, go to soccer games, be able to do those things. So really just making sure that I'm working as hard as I can while the girls are at school. And if anything stands in the way, once I have to pick them up, it's going to be a listing appointment.
That's awesome. It's plan your, and one of the things we get when we get into the business, we want nothing more than to do business. And all of a sudden business starts coming, and then we end up living someone else's life. And then we forget about the important things, which is why we got into it, which is our family, our personal lives. So I'm glad you learned that early. Schedule your personal stuff first and put priority on that. Well, we have a question from a Facebook user. It's probably in one of the private groups. That's why we can't see the name. But they said, what is your goal for 2023? And I'm so glad they asked this because I was going to find out anyway, right? So what is your goal for 2023?
First, well, I want to make more money without working any more harder. So I just want to work a little bit smarter. And I would like to try to break into the luxury market, get my first $1 million listing. I mean, some of the best agents I know, they might close 5 deals a year, but they do very well with their family because of the market that they're in. So
yeah, so make a little more, work a little less. And what does that look like specifically? I mean, do you have a transaction side? So like you could say you do 16. So if you could do 16 transactions and make 150 grand, maybe you can do 16 and make 200. Is that what you're saying?
right. So that's going to come in systems, people helping me. And I also want to have a little bit more time to do some community work and just get involved, get to know my awesome new city. Besides just, staying behind the phone calling for sale by owners so much.
That's amazing. And so have you figured out, you've got these goals for 2023. Have you figured out what you need to do in order to be able to make a little more and work a little less? What are some things you need to put in place to make sure that happens?
Like you said, systems and people. So we want to try to use whatever systems we have to set things up to stay top of mind without having to actually make that physical contact as often. Of course, we still want to keep physical contact in mind, but if I can have a newsletter go out and then I can just talk to them once every 6 months instead of having to make sure that every month I'm having contact.
Yeah, that's awesome. So,
yeah,
so
systems and newsletter. I will probably be hiring a transaction coordinator. Anything that's not $1,000 activity, I can be paying somebody $10, $15 an hour to do that activity for me so that I can get more time doing the $1,000 activities.
Yeah, I've heard that before. That's give yourself a raise, right? So it's, well, what are you worth doing? And I think when we talk about time, our most precious commodity, because we can always earn more money. But the one thing that everyone always has the same of is time. And it's how you're going to spend your time. And I love this idea of leverage. You're saying, making sure I have systems in place. And by the way, how much the systems cost? They're free. Systems are how you do stuff, right? And they grow with you. They withstand the test of time. They're proven, right? And you can tweak and adjust them as you grow. And then utilizing people. People could be expensive, but when we think about in terms of expensive, like Shannon said, what are you worth per hour? She said, if it's not $1,000 activity, why am I going to use my time to do that? And also designing a life that you enjoy, a job that you enjoy. What do you enjoy doing? So sometimes the things that are painful are the, first things we want to get off our plate. But sometimes the things that are painful are also the most lucrative, right? So I know calling for sale by owners can be extremely challenging. Yep. So again, guys, we're here.
A little more fun over time.
What happened?
I said for sale by owners is easier and sometimes even fun over time. Once you learn how to make fun out of it, you realize they all say the same thing. You can start joking around with it instead of just going with the script. So.
So that we can say that's a pro tip from Channin. Bizbos can be fun. I love that. Yeah. So you heard it here first. And what's your game plan for closing the gap between where you are today and where you want to be next year? What are some things we have to look forward to from Channin?
Like I said, trying to break into that luxury market. I am about a mile away from the beautiful Indian River over here and Hutchinson Islands. Right by Jensen Beach is a beautiful beach town. So I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity here for me in my new city. And part of when you call for sale by owners, you get to figure out who you're going to call. You can set that price point to be as high or as low as you want to work with. So that's for sure. And then by creating higher sales price transactions, I'll have more time to be able to do things that I really enjoy doing, which of course I can incorporate my business into, but that might be sitting at the bar having a few margaritas and talking to the bartender. Hey, whenever you need a house, I'm the one to go to. Let's have some fun. We're cool people. We had good conversation here, and looking for some more fun things to do that will also eventually create business, but not for sale by owner right now business.
Yep. I think we need to do both, and I'm so glad that you have that in place. So, but that was Brett, by the way. So we say hashtag thanks, Brett. Right. So Brett was the one checking in on your goals. That we didn't know who it was. I think when I got into the business, I waited till I was like 4 years in to even attempt to cultivate long-term business. And I think that's a huge opportunity that we miss in the get-go. I don't care how brand new you are, start planting seeds for long-term business now, because long-term business is the easiest business, right? When someone's ready and they're chasing you because you've established yourself as an expert, as someone that adds value to them, even when there's not a transaction, when they think real estate, they think you, right? So are you, this year, I mean, you're saying you're getting to know your community. What are some things we can look for from you? What can the community expect from Channin that she's going to do when there's no real estate need? In between real estate transactions, how is Channin, the realtor, going to occur to people in her community?
Well, anytime that there is an event, I want to be there. I want to be part of it. I want to be getting to know everybody around. I've gotten involved in some things with my girls' school, with church, different groups of people. And like I said, really, it's about having fun and enjoying life with the kids, with the family, incorporating all of that. But you also make sure everybody knows, hey, I'm the realtor when you need somebody. Like I have, because like you said, when you do for sale by owners and that's all you're doing, once they sell, they don't really have a need for you for quite a while. So I want to have that long-term business and just people and network of people that know, like, and trust, right?
Yeah, well, I would say there's a short distance between know and like. People don't know you once they get to know you in their first exposure. Pretty quickly, they decide if they like you or not, and then that trust thing comes later. And so, how do we establish that trust over time? Shifting gears into being the trusted advisor, and the person that has connections, and people go to you when they need something. And like I know people come to me, hey, do you have a good handyman? Do you know? I mean, Zach Klein did text me the other day. He's like, hey, do you know a good plumber? And I did know a good plumber. So being that person, being the resource of everything that's helpful, that helps you it allows people to take a peek behind the curtain to see the rock star that you actually are before they use you, right? So they'll be the ones coming to you. They wouldn't consider anybody else, because they're like, wow, this person's so great at what they do. And I know that you're in the process of building on your value proposition over time. And I think it's an exciting thing to see. And I tip my hat to you. You're doing a great job. I know you felt like you didn't have a lot to share, but you shared a lot today. And people need to hear Channin from the block, not somebody shouting out what to do from their 1,000 transaction a year life, right? So you're not selling a coaching program. You're your second year in the business. You bought a house. You're living the American dream. And now your goal next year, I just want to make a little more and work less and a little less time, right?
Yes.
Oh man, I love that. That's like my consistent goal every year. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but we gotta. Sometimes we have to sprint and put the pedal to the metal, and sometimes we're gonna work till 9 o'clock at night, and sometimes we're gonna take off at 11 in the morning and go hit golf balls with our friends. Right?
Right.
That's awesome. If last opportunity for anybody to ask questions live for Shannon, and we're gonna let her go. She's got a listing appointment coming up that we were kind of working on. And so hopefully she'll report back good news and get it. But while we wait for any questions to come in, Shannon, do you have any parting words, anything that you think is real important that I didn't ask you that you want the community out there to know? Maybe specifically a newer struggling agent. Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember last year when I was first making these calls, the most important thing was just getting in front of the person. So even especially for sale by owners, a lot of times they'll let you come preview. You want to get to know them. If you have nothing else on your plate and you have all the time in the world, go see as many for sale by owners as you can. Even if they didn't welcome you there, go knock on their door and say, hey, I just wanted to come see your house. It's really just about getting in front of them and showing them who you are. Now I'm really excited because this appointment I have today is one that I was very direct. I'm here to list your house. That's what I'm coming to do. And I kind of took all of the fear and questions out of the way before the appointment. So I'm pretty confident that she knows what to expect when we get there today.
I love that. It's just get in front of the person. And, I had the same approach when I started. I couldn't wait to get out of the office, get off the phone and get in front of someone. So, and I know this is, and I'm so glad you said that because this is contrary to what a lot of real estate trainers and coaches will tell you. Don't go on the appointment unless it's super qualified. Don't waste your time on just a preview or a viewing. I built my business like that. You've done the same your second year. Now you're making the transition to say, well, if I only have time to go on 1 or 2 appointments a day and I have to start saying no to things, now I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to upgrade my qualifications for an appointment, for a bona fide appointment, right? Any last minute questions for Shannon? And thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom with us. Going once, going twice. And we hope to see everybody out there in the virtual world. Again, if you're watching this on the replay, which I think we tend to rarely, like people pop on, people don't pay attention to live videos, but later on when they're doing things, they're like watching on replay. They're like, oh, Chris was live talking to somebody again. Let me see what Shannon has to say. You can reach out to us, ask Shannon any of the questions you like. She's tagged here. Yeah, we're here to help you. So if there's no other questions, thank you, Shannon, for joining us. We appreciate you. Keep on keeping on. You're a rock star. Make a little more. Work a little less. Words of wisdom.
Have a little fun.
From a second-year agent. Yeah, it's not. You don't have fun doing it. It's not worth doing. All right. Peace out, everybody.
Bye, Chris.